Imagine a world glowing under the scorching African sun, where endless golden plains stretch out, dotted with towering acacia trees and life-giving waterholes, the lifeblood of countless species. Here, in the heart of Etosha National Park in Namibia, an epic story unfolds. The story of the Btia brothers, two lion siblings who began as playful cubs, wrestling and pouncing on their mother's tail, completely unaware of the extraordinary destiny awaiting them. Their days were filled with joy, their sharp claws dulled in play fighting, all while unknowingly honing the vital skills that would decide their survival in this harsh world. Their mother, the vigilant guardian, watched every move, teaching them patience and cunning in the art of hunting. Life was not easy, but it was safe as long as they remained under the pride's wing and their mother's protection. But in Etosha, this wild world was ruled by the unforgiving law of nature. Strength alone determined who lived and who fell. The pride to which the brothers belonged was one of several, each carving out its own territory in this vast land. Clashes between coalitions were part of life, but to these two young cubs, such battles were only distant rumbles, like thunderstorms echoing across the Golden Plains. Yet beneath this surface, calm, powerful forces were quietly stirring. Forces that would uproot the brothers from their pride's safety and cast them into an unknown, unforgiving world. For now, however, they lived in the bliss of cubhood, basking in the sun's warmth under the watchful eyes of the pride. Then came 1995, a year that brought seismic changes. Humans, that unpredictable force, intervened. Park rangers and conservation experts, tasked with maintaining natural balance and saving threatened species, decided to relocate a group of lions to a distant reserve. Among the chosen were the Btia brothers and an older scarred lion marked by battles, named Scarface. They were captured and sedated. The young brothers felt the chilling steel of the cages as they were confined. The familiar comfort of Etosha's grass vanished, replaced by the hum of machinery and the sterile air of captivity. When they awoke, their world had changed. They found themselves in the heart of the Mkuze Reserve, locally called Mkuze. This rugged land was alien to them, devoid of the comfort they had once known. Mkuze was a wilderness full of dangers, a world utterly unlike Etosha. Lion numbers here were low, but the dominant males who ruled this land were fierce and unwelcoming to strangers. So, the brothers were released into a large holding enclosure to acclimate before facing the true wild. They wandered the boundaries of their enclosure, senses alert, attuned to every sound, inhaling new scents, the buffalo, the antelope, and the distant calls of rival lions. Adventure stirred in their hearts, but they were unprepared for the immense challenge that lay ahead. On November 30th, 1995, their first meal was thrown into the enclosure. A little over a month later, on January 9th, 1996, the gates were opened. Yet the brothers hesitated, standing at the threshold of Mkuze's vast wilderness, an alien, unforgiving land. Unlike Etosha, there was no pride to welcome them, no mother's protection. They were alone. The weight of isolation pressed heavily upon them. Instinct pushed them forward, but fear held them back. For days, they lingered near the enclosure's edge, refusing to plunge into the reserve. Every rustle, every distant roar was a chilling reminder of the lurking dangers. Scarface, the older scarred lion who had been relocated with them, had already vanished into the wild, leaving the young brothers to face their fate alone. When they finally stepped across the threshold, their first encounter with the Ophia pride struck like lightning. The dominant males, older and more experienced, pursued them ruthlessly, driving them away from fertile hunting grounds. Exhausted and humiliated, the brothers retreated to the reserve's outskirts, doubt gnawing at them, uncertain if they had the strength to survive. The scars of that clash were not only physical, but etched deep into their spirits. As they scavenged for scraps and avoided conflict, their future clouded in uncertainty. But despair was not the end of their story. In the weeks after their bitter defeat at the hands of the Ophia Pride, the Btia brothers roamed Makuze's fringes, living in the shadows with hunger as their constant companion. Survival meant subsisting on leftovers from greater predators. Yet amidst the darkness, they were not entirely alone. Scarface, the mighty lion, appeared from time to time, like a ghost offering silent reassurance. His dark mane streaked with gray, his body marked by scars, radiated unmatched strength and the confidence of a lion accustomed to dominance. He was no ally, but he was a silent mentor. The brothers watched him intently, studying his every move. How to stalk prey unseen, how to avoid unnecessary battles. When other lions crossed his path, Scarface stood firm, unyielding, teaching them that confidence was the key to victory. By June 1996, when Scarface crossed paths with the Btia brothers again, something had changed. No longer did they flee at the first sign of danger. They stood tall and unleashed a thunderous roar, a bold declaration that their days of retreat were over. Scarface's lessons had seeped into their bones. The cubs shed their fear like old skin. They now moved as young challengers, determined to carve their place in Makuze's hierarchy. By October 1996, a remarkable transformation had taken place. The brothers were no longer scrawny cubs clinging to Makuze's fringes. Their muscles had filled out, their frames grown powerful, the marks of lions ready to challenge destiny. Scarface's harsh lessons and the brutal encounters with the Ophia Pride had forged them like fire tempers steel. The great test now awaited. The brothers advanced south, toward the heart of the reserve, the very land from which they had once been driven in disgrace. This time, they did not slink in like thieves in the night. They strode boldly, their deep roars echoing across the plains, announcing their triumphant return. The territory they approached was still under the rule of the Ophia males, the very lions who had humiliated them months earlier. But the Btia brothers were no longer naive cubs. At dusk, beneath the fading sky, the brothers struck like a storm, taking the Ophia males by surprise and shattering their fragile defenses. They attacked with precision and terrifying ferocity, their bond fueling every move. One by one, the Ophia males were overwhelmed. By dawn, the once dominant lions retreated, torn and broken. For the first time, the Btia brothers tasted true victory. The southern lands of Makuze, once forbidden, were theirs. The balance of power had shifted. Crossing this threshold was like being reborn. The brothers shed the insecurities of their cubhood, confronted their deepest fears, and emerged stronger than ever. The reserve's predators began to take notice of the new challengers, the lions who had declared the dawn of a new era, the reign of the Btia brothers. Yet dominance never comes easily. With their hold on the southern territory, the Btia coalition faced incredible trials. Makuze was unforgiving, and their victory over the Ophia was only the opening chapter. Holding territory would prove a greater challenge than seizing it. In the following months, rival males tested their strength. Lone wanderers and ambitious coalitions prowled the borders, lured by the scent of lionesses and the promise of easy prey. Each day carried the threat of battle. The brothers soon realized that brute force alone would not sustain their rule. Strategy and unwavering unity became their secret weapons. Meanwhile, the buffalo herds, Makuze's most dangerous prey, offered trials of life and death. The brothers learned to isolate weaker individuals, turning deadly risk into reward. These victories brought not just food, but fame. Lionesses began to take notice of their strength and dominance, drawn to them as unmatched hunters and powerful protectors. But the path was not lined with roses. In December 1996, a ghost from the past emerged. Luan, the one-eyed giant, one of the last survivors of the Ophia Pride, a battle-hardened warrior whose looming presence cast a dark shadow over their new domain. When the inevitable clash came, Luan attacked with precision and savagery, forcing the brothers to retreat. One was badly injured, a true test of their blood bond. The uninjured brother was forced to abandon his wounded sibling, fleeing for his own survival. The injured lion was later found and taken into a holding pen for treatment, separated from his brother for long weeks. It was the greatest weakness in their fragile new reign. The reserve had bared its fangs, and for a moment it seemed the brothers' dream might shatter before it began. Yet the injured lion fought back, healed, and when reunited, the brothers were ready to seek vengeance. 7 months later, in mid-1997, the brothers hunted for Luan, determined to end his threat. The lionesses followed, their growing pride unable to live under the shadow of such a rival. Eventually, they found him near a waterhole, accompanied by 2 lionesses. A brutal fight erupted. This time, the Btia coalition fought with the confidence of survivors. Luan, once feared, was forced into retreat, his dominance broken forever. By driving him out, the brothers cemented their rule over southern Makuze. The lionesses accepted them fully, joining their pride. Their fame spread like wildfire through the reserve. Guides, tourists, and conservationists alike marveled at their imposing size and ferocity. They were no longer outsiders. Makuze was theirs. Any rival bold enough to trespass would face the wrath of the Btia coalition. By late 1997, the Btia brothers had become living legends. Their confident strides shook Makuze's ground. Lionesses thrived under their protection, and their genes began to spread across the southern plains. The name Btia became a symbol of dominance and resilience. But even at the height of their power, danger lingered. Luan, the one-eyed lion, was not gone. He prowled the edges of their territory, waiting for weakness, his presence a reminder that no reign lasts forever. In December 1997, Luan returned, gaunt but unyielding. The brothers found him near their western border. Despite his weakened state, his ferocity was undiminished. He launched a vicious ambush, targeting the brother he had wounded before. The attack was swift and brutal. The younger brother collapsed near a waterhole, gravely injured, gasping for breath, while his sibling circled protectively. For the second time, they faced the specter of death, knowing that losing one meant losing half their strength. The dominant brother guided the injured sibling to the territory's edge, where days of isolation followed as the wounded lion fought for survival. During this time, the dominant brother patrolled alone. It was a pivotal moment. Though they survived, they had come perilously close to the end. The reserve had taught them a harsh, unforgettable lesson. Even the greatest lions are not immune to time and danger. When the younger brother finally recovered, the two emerged more cautious, yet no less fierce. They had survived Luan's final assault before he vanished from history. The scars he left, both physical and emotional, remained etched in their story, preparing them for the challenges yet to come. Their brief reign was now destined to become a legend of the savannah, one of many tales of lions like the Btia coalition who ruled Africa's throne for years. Battles raged on all fronts within this deadly savannah. Everyone waited, tense, eager for their share of blood and prey. By mid-1998, the new Btia coalition had carved its name into the records of history. The two brothers had become living legends in Makuze. Their roars thundered like storms, commanding respect, their very presence striking fear into the hearts of rivals. No one dared to challenge them openly. Under their rule, the Southern Territory flourished like never before. Yet in the wild, peace is nothing more than a fleeting illusion. The greatest test for these lions loomed on the horizon, waiting for its chance. The dry season struck the land mercilessly, turning fertile plains into barren desert. The buffalo herds, heavy with meat, migrated to distant waterholes, forcing the brothers to venture deeper into unfamiliar lands. There, in the heart of the reserve, they faced a new challenge. A coalition of younger, ambitious, desperate males trespassed along the edges of their territory. These roaming lions were lean but hungry for power, and desperation made them dangerous. At dusk, beneath the fading sky, the confrontation erupted. The struggle escalated quickly into a fierce battle, a brutal clash of claws and fangs. Though the Btia brothers had the advantage of size and experience, the rogue lions fought recklessly, driven to prove themselves. The fight raged on into the night. For the first time in years, the brothers felt the shadow of defeat looming over them. The dominant brother, with immense strength, managed to drive one opponent away, while the younger brother, Gra. By dawn, the rogue lions finally retreated, leaving the brothers exhausted, wounded, but victorious. Yet victory came at a heavy price. The younger brother had suffered deep gashes along his side. They were not fatal, but they left him weakened. In the days that followed, the Btia coalition was forced to hunt smaller prey, avoiding further conflict until the wounded brother recovered. The ordeal had brought them closer than ever to losing everything. It was a harsh reminder that even the greatest kings of the wild are not invincible, and a new generation is always waiting to seize the crown. But the Btia brothers were not the type to surrender easily. They emerged from this trial stronger, harder. The rogue lions never returned, and their territory remained intact. The lionesses, having witnessed the ferocity with which the brothers defended their pride, became more loyal than ever. The legacy of the Btia brothers was not built on defeat, but on their legendary resilience, the ability to endure, to survive, and to rise again after every fall. By the end of 1998, the brothers stood as undisputed. With their territory secured and all rivals expelled, the Btia brothers entered a golden age worthy of legends. Their pride flourished under their protection, while new cubs were born carrying their blood, filling the plains and strengthening their legacy. By the early 21st century, the Btia coalition had become a symbol of resilience and dominance in Makuze. Their physical transformation was as striking as their victories. They grew to enormous size, their dark, heavy manes framing their faces like crowns, announcing their royal authority. Their presence at the waterholes stopped hearts, drawing the awe of guides and visitors who marveled at their power and size. In 2005, Carmen, an experienced wildlife guide, stood before the Btia brothers for the first time. After years of tracking lions across reserves, she felt awe. They were the largest lions she had ever seen. One of the brothers was later weighed during a health check, recording an astounding 248 kilograms, a massive weight that placed them above all other lions in the region. Their battles raged on all fronts within this deadly savannah. Everyone waited, tense, eager for their share of blood and prey. By 2007, the Btia brothers had carved their legend deep into the heart of Makuze, ruling for over a decade with a saga of dominance and power. Yet even they, the greatest kings of the wild, could not escape the grip of time. Signs of age crept in, gray streaks threading through their once dark, majestic manes, the scars of past battles standing as living testimony to their stormy lives. Still, they maintained control, patrolling their lands, though their steps no longer carried the fiery vigor of youth. The lionesses remained loyal, but shadows of younger male coalitions began to stir along the borders of their realm, waiting for the inevitable moment of weakness. In the final months of 2008, the moment came. Driven by hunger during the harsh dry season, the Btia brothers targeted a massive buffalo bull near the northern stretch of their territory. The beast was relentless, fighting with all its might, its horns like deadly spears, striking in every direction. In the chaos of battle, one of the brothers was struck by a devastating blow from those lethal horns. He staggered, fell back in agony, and collapsed near a waterhole, blood pouring, breath fading. His brother stood guard, roaring at death itself, but the wounds were too severe. For days, his brother lingered nearby, a futile guardian, until at last the injured lion exhaled his final breath. In December 2008, the surviving brother too met his fate. Found dead from grievous wounds, His passing marked the end of an era. The path to the throne had become a fatal descent, yet their legacy was forever carved into the wild. After ruling longer than most lions and leaving behind a pride carrying their blood, their great lineage would live on. The fall of the Btia brothers was not the end of the story. Their echo lingered like thunder across Makuza's plains. Their battles, etched in glory and dominance, continued to inspire all. Rangers, guides, and visitors spoke of them as emblems of raw power, the very essence of what lions symbolized. Their descendants, scattered throughout the reserve, carried their defining traits. Young males with dark, heavy manes and imposing frames roamed Makuze, living reminders of the brothers who once ruled. Some of these offspring formed coalitions of their own, claiming new territories and continuing the cycle of dominance established by the Btia. For many, the brothers transcended ordinary lions and became legends, remembered among Africa's greatest. In the years following their deaths, the reserve saw the rise and fall of many strong lions, but few could match the unique blend of the Btia brothers' physical might, longevity of reign, and absolute dominance. Their story became a beacon of inspiration, a reminder that perseverance, unity, and raw strength can carve an indelible mark even in the harshest of natural worlds. These lions did not simply survive Makuze, they shaped its history, leaving behind a legacy that would live for generations. The reign of the Btia brothers ended, but their story was far from over. Legends of the wild do not fade with death. They remain etched in the land, whispered by the winds across the plains, immortalized in the memories of those who witnessed their rise and fall. The brothers left more than a material legacy. They left a lesson, one that echoed beyond Makuze's borders. In the brutal wilderness, raw power and ferocity may define survival for the mightiest beasts. But the journey of the Btia brothers revealed a deeper truth. Their strength lay not only in their colossal size, but in their bond, an unbreakable connection between two lions who faced the world together. They were not merely wandering males scrounging for scraps. On the contrary, they became giants, killers, and protectors. Their unity allowed them to crush the Ophia coalition. Their resilience carried them through. In their dazzling triumphs and painful defeats, the Btia brothers revealed an eternal truth. Raw strength alone is not enough to master the savage wilderness. Their greatness lay in adaptation, in unyielding loyalty, despite nature's temptations of dominance and mating, and in their unique perseverance that turned them into legends. Guides and conservationists told tales of their encounters with these giants, stories that became torches of inspiration, sagas recounted with awe and reverence. The story of the Btia lions is not merely a memory. It is a symbol of what can be achieved when strength is united with loyalty and resilience. It is a lesson for all, a resounding cry reminding us that even in the harshest of environments, greatness is born of courage, of the bonds we hold with those beside us. The Btia brothers achieved that status as eternal legends, leaving behind a tale that will continue to be told, echoing through time as long as lions roam this vast land. The story of the lioness Nala is an epic tale of this female who became the leader of the lions. There, in the vast African savannah, where the scorching sun and dry lands prevail, where life becomes a struggle between survival and destruction, an extraordinary story unfolds in this world, where strength and courage are the only way to rule. The demand for power rises with every roar, and leadership is contested with sharp claws and unimaginable ferocity. Queen Nala grew up to defy all expectations, to create a story like no other, where this stubborn female shone and displayed her strategic brilliance amid the wild wilderness, in a land where lions fight daily to hold on to power. This lioness achieved the unimaginable, ascending to the highest throne of nature, revealing to the world what it truly means for the queen of the jungle to be female. She transcended boundaries and formed a strong and unexpected alliance by uniting males and females under her leadership. The lioness shattered all the rules, defied all traditions, and turned chaos to her advantage. She not only preserved her pride, but also led with extraordinary wisdom, organizing hunting strategies and defense tactics with precision. Her powerful presence and her ability to earn the respect and loyalty of her peers stand as living testimony that strength is not merely a matter of brute force, but also cunning and vision. In fierce and intense battles, she led both females and males into numerous clashes, not only defining her territories, but also rewriting the rules of monarchy in the animal kingdom. Her thrilling story begins in the lesser-known lands of Tarangire National Park, a vast wildlife reserve in Tanzania. Though not as famous as Serengeti or Masai Mara, Tarangire possesses a hidden beauty, with sprawling plains, ancient baobab trees, and an abundance of wildlife habitats. It is a place where nature still rules everything, with a significant sense of calm, where fewer tourists visit and the secrets of the wilderness remain untouched. And this relative calm made Tarangire an ideal site for scientific research, with conservation groups closely monitoring lion populations here to better understand their social dynamics and movements. Human population density is also remarkably low, which increases fierce competition for resources, with other predators like hyenas and leopards making life difficult for these big cats. The good availability of prey and the vast stretch of land-forced lions to split into smaller groups to improve their chances of survival. Among these groups was the majestic pride, a small pride of lions living in this part of the park, named by researchers because of their stunning appearance and regal behavior, led by a black-maned lion called Magnus. He possessed a distinctive dark mane, a piercing gaze, and was a seasoned warrior of the plains known for his strength and wisdom, supported by his warrior daughter Nala. At that time, Nala was a striking lioness with sharp eyes and a strong golden body. Her mother, along with a few other lionesses, formed the core of the pride, and everyone lived in relative peace and harmony under Magnus's leadership. Yet peace in Tarangire was always temporary and fragile, vulnerable to the whims of nature and the threat of intruders. During this time appeared a nomadic lion, known to conservation experts by the scar etched menacingly on his face. He was a battle-hardened lion who gained his strength through a nomadic life of constant roaming and struggle for land and food without a pride, without cubs to protect or lionesses to feed. His only pursuit was strength and dominance, and thus his arrival into the pride's territory was like the calm before the storm. But despite his courage, Magnus was an old warrior. So when the nomadic lion appeared on the horizon with his dominant presence and eyes hungry for battle and blood, the clash between the two powerful lions was inevitable. A fierce and bloody fight erupted, a violent collision where every blow and bite echoed through the land in a struggle for survival. The lionesses, watching from a distance, realized that the outcome of this battle would determine their future. Unfortunately, Magnus, the old king, and advanced in years, was no match for the strength and savagery of his opponent. After a terrifying struggle, Magnus received a final devastating blow. The nomadic lion struck him down and proclaimed himself the new king of the area. For Nala, the loss of her father was a crushing blow. Magnus was not only a leader, but also a strong and compassionate protector of all members of the pride. His death marked the end of a bright era and the beginning of a dark one under the rule of the new tyrant. Nala proved her indomitable power, sharp intelligence, and determination to avenge her father. In the aftermath of the tragedy, she waited and planned, fully aware that achieving revenge and justice required patience and strategy. These dramatic events did not go unnoticed. The majestic pride, once known and monitored by local conservationists, became the focus of intensive study, especially after the arrival of the new king. Reports revealed a gripping story of significant loss of strength and resilience within the pride after the change of leadership. While assuming the throne, the nomadic king, known for his brutality, ushered in an era of terror and oppression. He used force to subjugate the lionesses despite their immense strength. But the lion was blind to recognizing this and underestimated the knowledge, intelligence, and cunning of the furious lionesses. Nala continued to plan in silence, crafting a story retold not only by those who followed her life's details, but by everyone who came to know the greatness of her spirit and the strength of her leadership. The reign of the new tyrant over the Pride was like playing with fire. One night, during one of his regular patrols, the king returned with serious injuries, perhaps from a clash with other nomadic lions. The exact circumstances of his injuries remained unclear, but the fight left him extremely weakened, unable to hunt alone. He decided to rely on the Pride's lionesses to provide food and restore his strength. But the wounded king did not expect what was coming. The lionesses, led by Nala, made a surprising decision. Instead of feeding him and helping him recover, they chose to starve him, weakening him to the point where he could no longer defend himself. He became isolated and slowly succumbed to hunger and his grave injuries. It was a moment of justice and silent revenge that revealed Nala's character and the new dynamics of the Pride. With the tyrant's death, the Pride faced a power vacuum, but it was short-lived. Nala stepped forward with her commanding presence and undeniable aura of leadership. She soon took control of the Pride, which consisted of the adult lionesses and their cubs, who began to see Nala as their legitimate leader. Queen Nala not only led the hunting operations, but also organized defense strategies for their territory, ensuring the preservation of Magnus's legacy. Nala's story began to emerge as a remarkable example of leadership. Her strong authority, combined with the data collected about her, became more than just scientific knowledge. It turned into a fascinating narrative of resilience and adaptability. Nala organized the Pride with astonishing efficiency and led the hunts with precise strategy. Under her guidance, the Pride hunted in coordination, with each member playing a critical role in chasing and bringing down prey. Unlike the typical behavior where the dominant male eats first, the lionesses left the first share to Queen Nala, who chose the best parts of the kill. This privilege clearly demonstrated her power, as the lionesses and cubs followed her with loyalty and respect. Everyone recognized her as a leader. Due to her strength and wide intelligence, Nala ensured the cubs were well fed and protected. She displayed a rare blend of power and compassion, embodying a leader who knew when to be harsh and when to be decisive. Her leadership was tested several times by nomadic lions drawn to the Pride's power and stability, who sought to seize control. On one occasion, 2 young lions appeared on the horizon, still in their early stages of growth, with clear intentions of taking over the Pride. Following the typical behavior of intruding lions, they tried to show brute force. However, they underestimated the strength of the majestic Pride under Nala's leadership. As the young lions approached, Nala led the Pride in a fierce defense, standing at the front line, roaring and advancing with unwavering determination. The violent battle began, with the lionesses using their agility and teamwork to surround and attack the intruders. Nala led the assault with unmatched ferocity, delivering decisive blows to the young males. The invaders quickly realized that the takeover would not be as easy as they had thought. They were forced to retreat, leaving the Pride intact and more united than ever. A few months later, another challenge arose when an older and more experienced lion, notorious for his erratic and aggressive behavior, attempted to confront the majestic Pride once again. The lionesses, under Nala's leadership, responded to the danger cleverly, luring the intruder into rocky terrain that restricted his movement. The fight was swift and brutal, with Nala and her Pride displaying tactical skill that even surprised the observers. The intruding lion sustained serious injuries and fled immediately. For 2 years, the cohesive Pride was not an easy target. Nala ruled the Pride with strength and discipline. She not only challenged the rival lions around her, but also defied the biological norms of lions and their society. Yet the natural course of life in the wilderness brought an inevitable turn when a male lion appeared in the area. But unlike other challengers, he seemed different. He showed no aggression and did not attempt to take over the Pride by force. Instead, he approached cautiously and with respect. Researchers observing from a distance soon realized that this lion was not a stranger. He was familiar with the area and the lionesses. Over time, it became clear that this lion was most likely Nala's brother who had left the pride in his youth, as is common among male lions when they reach maturity. His return was a homecoming and a renewal for the strong pride. Nala recognized the value he could bring to the group and accepted him without conflict. This peaceful acceptance marked a new era for the pride, an era where Nala's leadership not only continued but also expanded into an alliance with her brother. This union surprised the researchers, as Nala proved that survival does not depend solely on strength, but also on intelligence, compassion, and the strengthening of family bonds. Nala showed that she was a leader who understood the power of unity and cooperation. Now she roams with her brother across the lands of the majestic pride, reinforcing their control over the region. Researchers continued documenting this remarkable story. The saga of Nala, the lioness who became queen of the jungle, highlighted the complexity and beauty of wildlife in the vast and harsh plains of Tarangire, where the pride thrives under the leadership of a lioness and her brother, who defied tradition and rewrote the rules of the animal kingdom.